Meetings have been going great, and people are loving them. They're just really enthusiastic about the fellowship. There's a lot of people that came to our first one and have never missed one since.
There are a lot of people on this call. This is so fascinating.
Dorothy Buckler, and I have 16 horses. I know that's too many, but what can you do?
I heard about you guys through a Facebook ad, and just thought it was an awesome thing. And I'm always trying to share more about God and what he's doing for me anyway, so it fits in perfectly.
I'm actually in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Victor Mathis, charter member, mentoring with horses out of East Tennessee.
And so we've talked about having a name choice contest. So maybe we will.
Yeah.
He is a licker. You see him licking me?
It's a cool shirt you're wearing.
Yeah, I know, isn't it? I just got it this week. I ride mostly English, some hunter jumpers, dressage, trail riding, basically reliving my childhood.
And I think in order for us to be made in the image of a spirit, John says, God is spirit. Those who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
This is worth double points. How many horses did Solomon have? If you're ever wondering, hey, did I actually do that? If you just scroll down, it'll give you sort of a feed, kind of like on Facebook, of every single thing that you've done.
She would like to boss them around. You're right. Here's the one that stopped the truck.
I heard about it on Facebook, and I'm really excited to just share the love of Jesus and the love of horses.
Ranch patterns and trail riding, and just really enjoying horses with some really good people. So
I've got to get my show points going. I've got to get with that. And I love your shirt, but we need an English rider.
Yes, I'm going to talk about that.
And this is my first time on with you guys, and I'm not a member. I'm just learning about your group. So
all right. Well, welcome. Who's this?
This is the neediest cat in the world.
It's the biggest cat in the world, unless you are a very tiny person.
Gotten away from God a little bit, and I'm glad to I've been looking at your association for a few weeks and decided, kind of join the meeting and see how it all was. And you guys are very welcoming, so it's awesome.
We're very glad to have you.
We're glad you're here. I got to have a little praise report. My phone notifies me, and we just had a new notice come across the top of my phone that we have a new member has signed up for the Christian Horse Show Association. And that's a thrill every time that happens. This association is going and growing, and God's hand's upon it, and the anointing is building. I think these Zoom meetings are really adding to the fellowship. This is not just an unknown organization that you read about online. These are real people who love God and horses just like you do.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm Rhonda Fousek, and the kids, I worked at a lot of children's ranches, and they couldn't pronounce my name, so they just call me Fee-Fi-Fo, and that's what I've been known as. I am the CEO and founder and a psychotherapist at Triple C, Equine Assisted Programs. And this is Sheila Love. This is my partner here. I do the therapeutic side, and we have equine assisted learning on one side, educational, which is what Sheila does. And she comes up with the programming. So she's going to share in a few minutes about some of the programs that we do.
Wonderful.
We started March of 22 is when we got our nonprofit status. And it's a really important date, March of 22, because we know that God was leading us here and really pushing us to get this nonprofit status. It is free for veterans and first responders and anybody in mass tragedy. And that's where May of 22 is when we live about 2 hours north west of San Antonio. But on one side of us is Uvalde, and there was 3 months after we opened, there was a shooting there, and we lost 19 little fourth graders and 2 teachers. And then on the other side of us is Kerrville, which we had the flood back in July 4th. So we really struggle with what we are supposed to do with the program, but God is really guiding us in it, and He just keeps reminding us that when we say, God, this is so big, we just can't do this. It's so much. And He says, you're right, it is. But He always reminds us that He would never ask us to carry that. he's asking us to show up because he's allowed us to get a lot of really good training. And we are a trauma-focused equine-assisted facility, which we bring in people with relationship issues or any kind of trauma, and we work with them. And the really cool thing is I've been a therapist for 23 years. I moved out here in 23 years ago, and I was asking God, it's on 25 acres. What do you want me to do with this property? There's 5 or 6 acres that's a clearing, and then there's canyons just all around us. And it's like God painted just a masterpiece on the canyon walls.
That sounds beautiful.
It really is. And these 6 acres, and I just kept asking God, what do you want us to do here? And I heard it just like this. And he said, marriage counseling. And I was like, no, I don't think so. That's not.
Oh.
I was a 2-year therapist, and due to a lot of our backgrounds, I grew up in a very volatile family. And so I didn't want to re-experience that. So God has a way of gently working us and growing us. And I think we grow in every session. And our clients teach us so much about developmental issues and autism and trauma. He gently guided me to the children's ranches out here. There's 3 of them, and we are in a very rural area. There's 2 state parks, and that's about it. There's a post office and 2 state parks, so it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours to go to the grocery store or Walmart.
Wow.
It's just beautiful out here. And when I was working at the children's ranches, he started just slowly showing me how to work with boys and men, and bringing men into my private practice, which I was really intimidated by because of the background. And eventually I fell in love with marriage counseling, and our caseload is about half of men, and the rest is a lot of kids and women. We've worked with a lot of sex trafficking women. And the beauty of all this is it's nonverbal. And so you don't have to re-verbalize and re-traumatize yourself by repeating the trauma over and over. And this is where the horses come in, because then he said, after I got all that, he said, okay, it's time. And I said, time for what? And he said, I want you to work with horses. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't know horses, and they're big, and anything big, I would just kind of like freeze and go into flight, fright, or freeze. And so he gently guided me to a place called Lone Survivor Foundation, which is, we would fly in veterans from all over the United States. And I was doing trauma work with neurofeedback. So I was doing brain mapping and helping people to retrain their brain. And what I learned in that is that's where I was introduced to equine assisted therapy and equine assisted learning, is that there's one thing that psychology has kind of left out for hundreds of years, besides God, is our body. And we can step outside and it's like, oh my gosh, it's a snake, and our body is the first thing to react. And that's where trauma lives, is in the body. And so our job is to help our clients to understand and learn how and where they're holding the trauma and their relationship issues in their body. And Sheila's going to kind of go over that. But the neuroscience, real quick, is the left side of the brain is for logic, L for logic. This is where we make our big decisions. And the right side of the brain is for the regulation of these big emotions. And if we have issues or trauma in our life, our brain does, if we do something once a day for 21 days, we think of it as a habit, but it's really the brainwave activity. And so our brains get stuck in the left side, the real logical, and you'll meet people that just the facts, ma'am. And they have a really hard time connecting. Or you meet people that are very emotional and they get stuck in the right side. But either side, we need to do something that's left, right, and front and back. And movement is one of the big programs that we do is when our clients are experiencing something, our job is to constantly look at their body language. Sheila and I have to show up usually 15 to 30 minutes before a session and try to regulate ourselves. And I will go and I'll start talking in my head and I'll see Sheila just rocking back and forth. And I'm like,
I rock a lot.
oh, uh-oh, I'm talking too much or something. Or a client will get really emotional and Sheila may freeze and I'll start rocking back and forth because the horses are the ones that are really our teachers. And I'm talking to the choir here, but horses are prey animals. And so they're constantly on alert and 4 times a second they're looking at everything. They're also herd animals. And so they need our feedback. And so they're constantly looking at us 4 times a second for everything they see and hear and smell and taste and touch. And if we're not regulated, then the horses are not going to get regulated. And then the client's going to walk in with their stuff. So we have to learn to self-regulate. And we teach a lot of movement skills, breathing skills, different coping mechanisms that we try to really make fun. A lot of the breathing the skills Sheila's going to go over, but we try to provide a place where we teach the clients that, oh, this is what the horse is doing. Why do you think the horse is moving away? Or Sheila, why do you think the horse is, pushing on that person? And we try to help the clients to understand what's going on in their body so that if, it's a snake and the left side of the brain comes on and says, calm down, it's just a water hose out there, our bodies just go. And if we can teach our clients the safety of their own body, then they can self-regulate and then co-regulate with the horse, and then they can take this to their relationships. One thing that God is bringing me close is 1 Corinthians 3, 6 and 7. And Paul is planting the seed. Apollos, who comes along beside me and waters it, but God is the one that does all the healing. And he's constantly reminding me when I say, God, I can't do this. It's Kerrville. It's too raw and it's too big. And he says, I would never ask you to carry that. He said, I'm going to bring people in your life like Sheila, and we have another one, another equine professional, Kayla, that we work together and we have different skill sets. And he's just crying out to us and that gentle voice of the Holy Spirit that says, I'm just asking you to show up and plant the seeds. I'm going to bring somebody. You don't have to do this alone. And somebody will come and water it, but I'm going to come in and grow it. I am the one that's going to show you how to do this work. And it's for times such as this is what we are really struggling with, what's going on in our community and trying to bring some kind of equine assisted learning that's just not going to re-traumatize a lot of the people in our community. So we pray a lot. We don't see a lot of our results because, like in therapy, people either stop coming because they got better, they stop coming because they found something else, or they got better. And so Sheila's going to tell you a little bit about a little girl that we work with that we did get some feedback, and I couldn't do it without my policy.
I love you. I love the sound of that. Hey, before we transition people, I had one question. You mentioned the time when you were working with children's camps, or what'd you call it?
Children's ranches. It's when Child Protective Services, because we're in such a rural area, there's a lot of children's ranches where CPS or Child Protective Services take the children away from the parents and put them in these homes. They are usually, there's 8 houses on each one. There's probably 200 or 300 kids at each facility. When I started in 2000, there was 6,000 kids just in the state of Texas that were in foster care. So we work with a lot of kids that are in foster care that, for whatever reason, their parents aren't able to take care of them. And so that's where God took me to, so that I could learn how to self-regulate my body and that not to be afraid of big things, because my father was a Baptist preacher, and when I was 12, my brother was killed in Vietnam. So it wasn't a real safe place to talk about things at home, and it wasn't a safe place to talk about it because people were angry. And it reminds me of times like these that I learned just to hold everything in and freeze. So when horses come, I still go back to that, and Sheila starts rocking, and I can just see my body just calming down. And then my logical side of the brain comes on and says, I'm safe here. It's not back then, this is now. And so
Mhm.
that's
I so relate to the body language to do with horses because I'm a horse trainer. I'm working with the horses that they've had trouble with every day as the ones that they sent me. Anyway, so I identify exactly what you're saying, and I have had to learn how to regulate my body language. And you have to behave the way you know you should behave rather than the way you feel like behaving in some circumstances. But the reason that I question you about the children's ranches is down in Texas, and really, I think it's in the area of Bryan College Station. I'm connected with a ranch that is called Gentle Creek Ranch, and it is a facility that houses children. And I see a puzzled look on Marcia's face. She hasn't heard of Gentle Creek. But I met them. I preached at the stockyards in Bryan College Station once, and the director of this Gentle Creek Ranch attended the service, and I called him out of the audience with a prophetic word for him. And so that turned into a connection with the Gentle Creek Ranch, and they brought a bunch of kids on a field trip up here to the Davis Ranch in Indiana and spent a week. And the other thing I want to say about that is I'm so thankful that there are facilities like that, that children who need the care can go to a facility and be cared for like that. And the Christian Horse Show Association has made it part of our mission that we financially support orphanages that have horseback riding programs for their children. So that just kind of wraps up everything that we represent and that we stand for. And those orphanages that have the horseback riding programs, those horses do exactly what you're referring to. They are therapeutic, and those horses are ministering to those children, even when the counselors and the den mothers and fathers that take care of the kids can do what they can do. But we know the emotional impact horses have on children. So there are 3 of those in Illinois that I'm personally connected with, and we are currently in the process of scheduling a clinic or presentation that I'm going to do at one of them. It's called Kimmerer Village in Illinois. And we're going to take my horses over there and do a performance for all the kids to come and watch. But then also, they need help with some of their horses. They have horses that aren't gentle enough for the kids to work with. So I'm going to offer some training advice with them. Okay, so I wanted to mention those things, and I know part of our mission statement for the Christian Horse Show Association needs to be repeated and needs to be out there, and supporting those orphanages that have riding programs for their children is part of what we do. Because I know a lot of people, we even have new people on this call who say they saw something about the Christian Horse Show Association, but they've logged in to see what we're all about, and so one thing about the Christian Horse Show Association is I really believe the vision the Lord's given me to set it up the way we have is so broad and all accepting, it's hard for people to grasp that it's really that simple. But let me just repeat that. You can show your horse anywhere in the United States and send us the results of your competition, and we keep track of points and issue world championships and other awards in the name of the Christian Horse Show Association to acknowledge a job well done with your horses when you represent the Lord with a spirit of excellence and do a good job at a horse show with your horse. We want to acknowledge that. And it's a way of letting your light shine for Jesus while you're out there showing your horse. Okay, so I didn't mean to take that much time. Let's move on to your Apollos. Let's at your side.
Sheila Love here.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sheila Love. I live right up the road from Rhonda here in Vanderpool, Texas. I think there's all of 87 of us here. I originally grew up in Louisiana on a dairy farm, which is where I got my love from horses, for horses rather. And I personally have 6 horses at our ranch here. But I have to say that Rhonda called me back in 2022, I think right when she was thinking of starting this, or if you just got your nonprofit status, I think.
Did not know.
Did not know. We go to church together. Someone at church, I think, gave her my
No.
name.
God did.
God,
God did.
God said, call Sheila. And I have to say that Rhonda called me, and I'm an accountant. That's what I do for a real job. And she said, I need someone to come in and help me, with the books and this organization. And she started telling me about it, and I just started crying. I'm gonna cry thinking about it. And I,
Good.
like Rhonda, was just we've got this land, we've got this ranch. It's such a blessing. Want to be a steward to the community, a steward to the land, and just I was like, I want to do the horse stuff, Rhonda. I'll do the books. I'll be the treasurer on the board, and I can do all of that as like the. And she started telling me about getting my certification in trauma informed equine therapy, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. And between the tears and the joy I was feeling, it was just amazing. It was such a God thing. And I got my certification. Took me a little bit longer than it should have. My grandmother passed away during the middle of that, so I was spending a lot of time in Louisiana with my grandparents, and got that done, came on board, and we had our first few clients together, and it is just amazing to see God work, because it's not us. And it's like Rhonda said, these horses just do it for us. Every horse is different, every day is different. We get out there with the clients. My job really as an EP, as an equine professional with her and being at her side, is getting here, evaluating the horses, because like us, they have bad days and good days, as y'all all know, I'm sure. Making sure it's going to be safe. Going over the barn rules, safety regulations, and then allowing the client to pick a horse and go out there and figure out, you know, uh, their feelings, helping them learn to self-regulate via these horses. It's amazing to see the self-awareness that comes to these children. And sometimes the parents are even out there with us of how they're feeling and what's going on inside of them by just teaching them what I like to call horse talk. I go through communication skills, how horses talk to us, through their body language and their ears and their feet and their tail and their eyes, and allow the kids to see the horse's reaction and what they're doing, and just a simple question of, why do you think the horse is doing that? And maybe what's going on inside of you is, a horse can hear your heartbeat, from far away. And just allowing them to see themselves kind of through the horse. So it's not so much about them, but they're like, wait, the horse is walking away from me. Why is that happening? And then you could just see the tension, and be like, well, your shoulders are a little tense. Maybe let's take a big horse breath. I tell them, we'll take a huge horse breath, which I do all the time. I did it in the grocery store the other day. I'm sure people think I'm crazy, but to help with their breathing. And it's just really amazing to see them and to hear the feedback from our parents. And but like Rhonda, you don't always get the feedback, but when we do, it's amazing to watch, and see, and the literacy. Yeah, and so another God moment, I call them God winks. I have a lot of God winks. I called Rhonda and I said, I can't finish this. I can't even start my certification because I want to get PATH certified, and I'm going to go to this conference at Oklahoma State University, and I'm going to go see what that's about. And she said, go ahead. Or no, I was working on my certification. We had a sick horse that I was going to take up to my ranch. But anyway, so I go to PATH, conference in Oklahoma State in 22 or 23. And I'm there and I meet a lady who does a literacy program with these second graders. And she started talking to me about it, and I went into her little class. I don't know if y'all have ever been to a PATH conference, but you can pick the classes you want to take. And I did one on autism and another on this literacy program. And it's about bringing these horses into these schools, these low income schools, and designing a program to help these kids read. And I thought, wow, I live very close to Uvalde, Texas, where English is a second language for these kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and statistically, if you can't get them in by sixth grade, you lose them. And so I went and I called Rhonda, and then she started crying. She said, I've been praying, how are we going to get in these school systems? How are we going to do this? I said, well, God just gave us the answer because this is how, and I want to do this so bad. So I designed a program year before last, and we got a little small grant to be able to go into Uvalde and work with, was it 25 kids. So we did, yeah, we did that, and then we got another grant this year, and we were able to work with 120 kids. And so we were able to go in and work with these eighth graders who were fourth graders at the shooting of the school in Uvalde. And so it has just been amazing to be able to do that. Rhonda comes in and does some of the breathing and the drumming exercises that she's designed. We tie it all in beautifully with giving the kids books and doing some word letters. I have my eighth graders mentoring my second graders. So my eighth graders will write letters as the horses from Triple C, inviting our second graders to come out to Triple C to a field day. And then I incorporate some fun things for them to do, math and sciences and things like that, teaching them how to measure a horse, how to weigh a horse. We did the digestive system, which was fun. They went through an obstacle course and as they said, esophagus and go through the colon, and then they're all throwing little poop balls in the buckets at the end. So we incorporate a lot of fake poop. But
You
really it's just a blessing altogether.
mentioned breathing and drumming. What's drumming?
Yes, so drumming is a way to self-regulate if you're holding the drum and you're drumming it. Humming is a way to relax. It vibrates the jawbone and goes down and slows your heart rate down and your breathing, and then goes down to the vagal nerve in the stomach, where it will start helping you reproduce enzymes to break up food. So we do drumming programs. And the horses are outside, we're inside the round pen, and we're learning drumming, and it helps them to just do the left, right, left, right. So we're just trying to incorporate any kind of fun way for them to learn to self-regulate their bodies.
That sounds creative of you.
That is very relaxing for me, not so much for the people around me, I've found. I've gotten many comments from church members about my drumming.
Oh, yeah. So I was trying to come up with a Bible verse, and I have a good dear friend of mine. Her son is here at my ranch turkey hunting right now. And I was telling him, I said, I've been reading the Bible about horses and trying to come up with something. And I said, it's all about the chariots. And he goes, I'll tell you something. He said, every shotgun shell that I bring with me on a turkey hunt, I write a Bible verse on. And I said, okay, well, you killed a turkey last night. What was the Bible verse? And he said it was Mark 4:9. Whoever has ears shall hear. Right? And I was like, wow. I was like, yeah, because that is one of my first things in horse talk is what part of the body do you think the horse tells you, how he's feeling with? And it's the ears. I tell the kids, they're satellites, And so it just
I would have thought it would have been something for the turkey, like "You fool, tonight your life shall be demanded of you," or something like that?
Yeah. He said it just helps him memorize verses if he writes a verse on every shell. And they killed 8 turkeys. I'm gonna have to find out what the other 7 verses are. So
Oh, yeah. Well,
I'm sure if there's ever like a manhunt or something, and they find those shells on the ground, that they're going to have some questions.
right, we could look, spread the word any way you can, huh? Um, yeah, we also do a high school program that Kayla, the other EP, does for us. I wanted to tell y'all a little bit about that. Kayla will never speak in public. I'm gonna make fun of her a little bit, but she has a program with the Utopia High School students here, and they actually have an equine class, and the class has come out to Triple C several times now, and they've come out and drawn on the horses the anatomy of the horse, identifying like the skeletal and the digestive and the muscles, I believe. And then her husband is a farrier, and so he comes out and taught a hoof lesson to the class. And a lot of these kids are seniors and they're dual credit. You know, we are in a small community. These kids, they're dual credit. They'll graduate with an associate's degree just about. So they come out and use the horses to do their videos for college. So that was really cool trying, working with these high school kids. I love the little kids. Kayla's much better with the older kids. So
Little ones scare me.
have their different giftings.
right? We make a wonderful team. I say that all the time. I'm like, all the 3 of us together, it is such a blessing, such a God thing that we're all the way we are.
Amen.
We love hearing about it. You guys are a power team working together to reach people with your horses. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
We always take a few moments to see if any of our participants have questions to ask our special speakers. So do anyone that's tuned in here want to ask our speakers any questions about what they're doing?
You can either throw them in the chat, or you can just unmute and ask them. You don't have to raise your hand or anything like that.
David, the reason I had a strange look on my face was because I was trying to think of a place, and it's Still Creek Ranch.
I think you're right. I had the name wrong.
It's got. I know how it was founded. It was all a very, very godly thing. This guy was told he was a counselor, and he wanted to have this. He had a vision of having this kind of place, and he kept searching around for it. And it was going to be a place with 3 creeks, and he wanted to buy that land. The guy didn't want to sell it. And he kept coming back, and he says, God wants me to have this land. Finally, the guy sold it to him, and it very cheap. It all worked out great. It was awesome. But so then it started, and it has really developed to the horse program. When it came, there was a whole different attitude there, and it has really helped a lot.
Yeah, great.
It's not far from my house.
So I've been there. I've been real close to your house then.
All right.
So we have one question in the chat. Miss Sherry asked, how did you come up with your lessons? And Tom, you can go next afterwards.
How did we come up with what?
Our lessons.
Your lesson. How did you come up with your lesson plans?
So we get the background of the client, and we try to assimilate it to what's going on in their life. Where we have 11-year-old that her parents were going through a divorce, and she was very sad because her sister wouldn't talk to her, and she had lost her best friend to leukemia. So we just prayed about it, and we come up with that. Why don't we take one of the horses outside of the pasture and walk it along the fence line? So Sheila goes and she asks the client if the client wants to walk it, and to notice the horse and notice the herd. And one of the dominant horse, Sunny, was kind of like all over the place and trying to keep an eye on everything. and another horse, Shadow, who had been donated by a veteran and was verbally abused. So a lot of abuse with this horse. The horse would not look at the little girl or would put its, would turn away from it and just not make any connection with the horse. And so we were trying to come up and assimilate what's going on with her life with temporary loss and permanent loss. So the horses kind of play it out.
So you really you don't have like a standard lesson plan. You really tailor it to like each individual person by the Holy
we
Spirit.
tailor it to every client.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
The first lesson is usually just an introduction of all the horses and a little history on them, and then kind of feeling out where they are on their horse emotions. Are they comfortable in a round pen or out in a big field, or they don't want to go anywhere and just pet them through the gate? So we kind of evaluate that the first time.
Very cool. Awesome. Tom, you had a question?
Yeah, Rhonda, when you're working with the foster kids, do you bring in a large group or 3 or 4 at a time? And how many weeks do you run that program?
So when I was working at the Children's Ranch, they did have an equine program there, but it was not our program.
Okay.
But when we do the program with the Uvalde kids, we had 135 kids, and so we broke it up in groups of 30 kids, and it was 18 eighth graders and 15 second graders, and we have to get about 10 volunteers. And Sheila leads one part of it, Kayla leads another part, and then I lead a part of it. We also have to have the school. We need parents' permission slips, and then we also have to have teachers on there because we don't want the child to go and get in a car with somebody that we don't even know who the parent is.
Yeah. Sure. I was just curious because I'm working with a program that brings in 4 or 5 kids from a group foster home weekly. And we only have 3, 4 kids come at a time. And then, in a 4-week program, we get them on a horse.
Yeah, we don't like to we like to do at least one with us with 2 kids. So it depends on how many kids, and then we just bring in more volunteers.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Very cool. Miss Mariah has a question. Is there a Bible verse that really held you together during building your program?
I think it was actually it was Isaiah 51, 16, but it starts back in the very beginning. And because of our backgrounds and giving this to God, we're like, Lord, you're going to have to show us. And Isaiah 51 says, why are you so afraid of mere man? When I'm the one that holds you in my hands, you are safe with me because I am the one, God says, I am the one that created the stars and the sun and the moon. And by my voice, I can make the ocean roar. And you don't have to be afraid because I'm just asking you to show up because I'm going to put my voice in your mouth.
That's awesome. You said that was Isaiah 51?
51. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Awesome scripture.
Yes. Any other questions anybody has for our speakers? You've done a wonderful job presenting your ministry. We're all inspired by what you've done. Yes, thanks for sharing.
Thank you,
I
guys.
don't really have a question, but I wanted to say something. Our brothers are in brain core therapy, what you were talking about in the beginning that you were doing, and then that's when you're moving on the horses. Our brothers are doing that. Your brothers are in neurotherapy? Yeah.
Your brother does that?
Yeah, our brothers are in it, actually.
Oh, that's
in fact,
awesome.
they're having that done.
That is so cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So then I'm starting our trivia game.
Yeah.
We always move from our speaker into our equine biblical trivia contest.
All right. Let me get the link going here really quick. I was able to finish it during my getting things going.
And Richard's going to put the link in the chat, and that's the easy way for me to get to the game. You know, you can go to kahoot.it, but it's easier to just click this link that he'll put in the chat. And there it is. Is that it? Yes.
If you have the app, you can just put in that. Whoops, that's the wrong pin. 7307081 is the pin. All right, and Miss Camille did say that she really likes the logo on your shirts there. It is a very cool logo. So
Great. I know the matching shirts.
I'm gonna share my screen here. And I'm also going to put so you can either scan the QR code, you can go to kahoot.it, or you can just click on the link. And I do ask when you put your name in, please put in, like first name, last initial, so know who you are, because the top 3 winners will get a $10 gift card that you can use for merch or memberships or nominations or whatever you would like to use it for. And thank you again for being our speaker. It never ceases to amaze me how the Lord deals with people in starting ministries. And we got some people here that are starting, just starting out in ministry, and just to be able to see, okay, God, this is scary. I don't, think I know how to do this, and just the lives that are changed as a result of obedience. There's a minister that we've supported for years by the name of Rick Renner. He has a big ministry over in Moscow, and he had a big ministry here in the United States, and God was calling him to move to Russia, and he was really fighting God on it. And God goes, and one of his famous sayings was, "But God, what will happen to my ministry if I'm obedient to you?" and so that was and it's kind of a funny thing, but when God tells you to, sometimes you got to look for signals and ignore the cost. And when God tells you is step out into something, sometimes you have to just be obedient, and you'll never go wrong by being obedient to God. And there's been times where people thought they were being obedient and just got it wrong. And sometimes God will even step in and and fix our mistakes where we thought we were, he'll look at our hearts and where we thought we were being obedient, maybe we're missing it anyways. God still jumps in and helps out.
Amen.
All right, we'll give it just one more minute. Anybody else still trying to join? I see Angie, Nikki, Forrest, Laura, Robert, Rhonda, and Sheila, Marcia, Mary, Tom, another Sheila. That's Sheila Fish, probably. Melissa, Destiny, Staff. I'm not sure who that is. Susan, Dave, and Sherry. Anybody else trying to join?
I think that's 16 people.
All right, so we will we'll get started here. So the way it works is I'm going to read the question, and there's 4 answers. Each answer corresponds to a color. I will read the color and the answer, and you just click on the color in your app that corresponds to the correct answer. You not only get points for getting the correct answer, but you also get points for how quickly you get the correct answer. So as soon as you know the correct answer, click on that button. Be aware there are some occasional trick questions, so make sure you listen to all the answers. All right, let's get started. Welcome to CHSA Trivia 430, April 30th, 2026. First question. Most horses have 205 bones, but one breed only has 201. What breed is it? Red, Falabella, blue, Camagru, yellow, Arabian, or green Dale's Pony? Most horses have 205 bones. One breed has 201. Which breed is it? And the correct answer, 13 people got this right. Arabians have only 201 bones instead of 205. And I believe the 4 missing bones have to do with their brains and thinking.
I don't think so. It's their ribs.
Having had an Arabian, we had an Arabian, and we were trying to teach him to carry the. Every night we would go wave an American flag and sing the Star Spangled Banner to him in his stall. Our neighbors must have thought we were, and we started as a joke and then we just did it every night. Our neighbors must have thought we were the most patriotic people on the planet.
Yeah.
All right. Miss Mary is in the lead, our reigning trivia champion. Miss Laura, second place. Destiny's on the board in third. Melissa and Sherry Mack all on the board. Next question. This one's worth double points. Paul was shipwrecked on what island? Red, Patmos. Blue, Malta. Yellow, Crete, or green, Cyprus? Paul was shipwrecked on what island? Red, Patmos. Blue, Malta. Yellow, Crete, or green, Cyprus? The correct answer, 4 people got this right. Paul was shipwrecked on the Isle of Malta, which I believe is where Maltesers come from. I could be wrong about that. Miss Destiny has jumped into the lead. Laura hanging in there. Dave Davis now on the board. Tom on the board now. And Miss Mary hanging in there at 5th place. Next question. In terms of volume, what takes up the most space in a horse's head? Red, teeth. Blue, eyes. Yellow, brains. Or green, thoughts about how to get in trouble? In terms of volume, what takes up the most space in a horse's head? Red, teeth. Blue, eyes. Yellow, brains. Or green, thoughts on how to get in trouble? And the correct answer is teeth. 9 people got this right. Teeth take up more space in a horse's head than their brain. Just saying. Next question. And Miss Sheila is up. Climbed up 5 places. Destiny still in the lead. Laura hanging in there in second. Tom and Sherry still on. Dave and Sherry still on the board. Next question. Question number 4. This one's worth double points. What was the name of Adam's 3rd son? Red, Cain. Blue, Seth. Yellow, Abel. Or green, Ehud? What was the name of Adam's 3rd son? Red, Cain. Blue, Seth. Yellow, Abel. Or green, Ehud? And the correct answer, 14 people got this right. The name of Adam's 3rd son was Seth. And it's interesting, in the Hebrew, the word Seth means buttocks. And so I don't know if that means he came out backwards or if that had something to do with his personality, but interesting fact there.
Yeah.
All right, and Miss Destiny now has 4 in a row. She's killing it. Miss Laura in 2nd place, Tom still in 3rd, Dave Davis still in 4th place, and Sherry still in 5th. So no changes in the scoreboard on that round. Next question. Halfway there. Horses breathe through their red nostrils, blue mouths, yellow nostrils and mouths, or green skin. Horses breathe through their nostrils. Horses can only breathe through their nostrils. They cannot breathe through their mouths. 16 people all got this right. Miss Destiny still on top. Miss Laura still in 2nd place. Tom, Dave, and Sherry. It's uncommon that we don't see any movement in the board. So it is running neck and neck here, but we still got a bunch of questions to go. Anything could happen. We had 4 participants. Just hit an answer streak of 3. Question number 6. This one's worth double points. Who had a bed that was 13.5 feet long and 6 feet wide? Red, Shihon, king of the Amorites. Blue, Goliath the Gittite. Yellow, Anak. Or green, Og, king of Bashan. Who had a bed that was 13.5 feet long? Shihon, Goliath, Anak, or Og? And the correct answer, green, Og, king of Bashan. Did I say the colors on the first time I read the questions?
I think so.
Okay, good. Sorry. Some of these questions are long. I thought I was going fast. 4 people got this right. It was Og, king of Bashan. And most people think he was somewhere between 12 and 13 feet tall.
Ooh.
Imagine standing in front of somebody that you have to fight that's literally 12 feet tall. Just think about that for a minute. Destiny is still in first place. Miss Laura in second. Staff. Maybe that's Steph. I bet that's Steph.
It's Steph.
Okay, it is Steph.
Carrie.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Mary and Tom. So Mary's on the board now, and Tom's still hanging in there. And 3 participants just broke their answer streak of 3. So let's keep it moving along. Next question. All 4 of a horse's hooves leave the ground simultaneously during which gait? Red, extended or floating trot. Blue, gallop. Yellow, canter. Or green, none of the above. All 4 of a horse's hooves leave the ground simultaneously during which gait? Red, extended or floating trot. Blue, gallop. Yellow, canter. Or green, none of the above. The correct answer is gallop. And it actually took a long time for people to prove this. It wasn't until I think 1937 when some famous guy took a picture that demonstrated that all 4 hoofs leave the ground during a gallop. Because I guess most people were more concerned about holding on than watching the horse's feet. Miss Destiny still on top. Miss Laura, Tom, Dave's back on the board, and Stephanie on the board. So just 3 questions left. Anything could happen. Question number 8. This one's worth double points. Which of the following was not a judge of Israel? Red, Gideon. Blue, Laban. Yellow, Othniel. Or green, Elon? Which of the following was not a judge of Israel? Red, Gideon. Blue, Laban. Yellow, Othniel. Or green, Elon? Not Musk. And the correct answer, only one person got this right. Laban was Jacob's father-in-law. He was not a judge of Israel. There was actually a judge named Elon, probably who Elon is named after. And Miss Destiny still in first place. Tom must have been the one that got that right because he's the only one that moved up. Miss Laura, Dave, and Stephanie still all on the board. 2 questions left. Anything could happen. Question number 9. How many Americans work in the horse industry? Red, 2.7 million. Yellow, 3.8 million. I'm sorry, blue, 3.8 million. Yellow, 4.6. Or green, 5.1. How many Americans work in the horse industry? Red, 2.7. Blue, 3.8. Yellow, 4.6. Or green, 5.1 million. The correct answer is yellow. 4.6 million people work in the horse industry, and I think the economic impact of that is just north of $138 billion a year in the horse industry. And that is 5 people got this right. Miss Destiny still on top. Tom is still in second place. Laura still in third. Dave Davis still in fourth, and Miss Marcia is on the board. She made a run for the finish line last time, and I think ended up winning. So we have 1 question left. Anything could happen. So worth double points. Which king had the longest reign over the kingdom of Israel? Red, David. Blue, Solomon. Yellow, Ahab. Or green, Jeroboam II. Which king had the longest reign over the kingdom of Israel? Red, David. Blue, Solomon. Yellow, Ahab. Or green, Jeroboam II. The correct answer, nobody got it right. The Jeroboam II ruled over Israel for 41 years. David and Solomon only ruled over Israel for 40 years. So that means that the standings have not changed since last time. So in third place, Miss Laura. In second place, Tom. And in first place, the winner of our trivia championship, Miss Destiny. All 3 of you will get $10 gift cards. And our runners-up were Dave Davis and Miss Marcia. Thank you all for playing.
I thank God for giving me a dream to keep me living right. give my life a purpose so I can fight the good fight. Trying to be the best that I can keeps me on the right track. Now that I know that I've chosen the right way, I could never want to turn back. Now that I know that I've chosen the right way, I could never want to turn back. Jesus, I could never want to turn back.